Hey guys, it's Chrissy, and I'm here with something different today. I wanted to have a discussion video about books and book borrowing and book lending, because I think it's important to talk about. And I don't mean book borrowing from the library, I mean like book borrowing from your friends. And you know, as a person who likes to borrow books from friends, I have like a certain set of rules for myself when I borrow other people's things. And also, like, I want to talk about my experience borrowing and lending books. So, here we go! How I treat books that I borrow are like, I take the best care of them that I can, because I know that this person is trusting me with their book baby, because I know that they spend their own money on it, and you know, they care about them because they're fellow bookworms, so they, like, you know, those books have meaning and they're precious to them. So I try to be as good about them as they are with their things. Like, if they don't want the spine of their book cracked, I make sure not to crack that spine. Like, it's tough, but book gymnastics, I can do it. My experience with lending out books though, I have like two books that I will never see again. So I'm not gonna trust that person. I don't even know who it is because I didn't write it down. Like, I didn't write the name of the book down. Not by now I know which books are gone, but like, I didn't write the name of the books down. I didn't write the person I lent it to, even though I really should, but I didn't. So by now I'm like, who did I lend it to? Because I have like a certain number of people that I lend my books to, my book circle, and none of them borrowed it, but it's gone. So I'm like, it's not one of them, and that's the problem, because if it's not them, then I'm completely at a loss for who I lent it to. So yeah, I'm never gonna see those books again. I'm never gonna trust a person again, even though I don't know who they are. So yeah, that's a loss right there. And I do have a friend though. Well, not a friend, my grandmother. She's like a really close friend. And she has an experience where she lent out a book to a friend, and over the course of time she forgot she lent it out. And you know, that's normal. But then one day she was having a discussion with a friend, and that she wanted to lend my grandmother a book. So my grandmother was like, yay, okay, thanks. So then when my grandmother got the book, she was like, this is my book. And then so that's when she remembered that she lent it out to that person, and the person never gave it back. Because it's a thing here that when you have a book or a certain thing for a long time, people begin to think that that thing or that book is theirs, and to be honest with you, it's not. That's called stealing. Okay? She basically just pretty much like stole a book, but then returned it. So I've never really had that experience before, but like that's an experience. Have you experienced that? Or like, is that a thing in other places too? Because I really don't think that's right. If there's a time limit, you should return it, and you should know what's yours and what's not yours in your shelf. So yeah. Now what I want to discuss about actually asking to borrow books from friends, and if they're willing to lend it to you, I mean, that's really great because they want to share that with you. But you shouldn't just like take things, especially if you're I think if someone's really close to you, or if you have a really good relationship, I mean, that's awesome, and you don't need to ask to borrow things. But at the same time, I really think that it's important to ask permission if the book or if a thing isn't yours. Because I don't know, I just kind of have this thing where if you don't know where your things go and then it turns out with a friend, it's kind of anyway, yeah. So I think it's important to ask first before borrowing, and so also so that the owner doesn't have like a mini heart attack like looking for the book. And then if there's a time limit, please return it within the time limit. I've had a friend who lent me his book for a month, book 2 of Eragon. It's the I forgot the name. Anyway, book 2 of Eragon, and I was a new reader at the time, and he gave me a month to finish it. and that used to take me a while, but then Aragon's like really thick. So I really appreciate that he trusted me for a whole month with his baby, and I returned it to him in good condition. So I know that he trusts me now if he were to lend me anything else. So yeah, like, be conscious about the time limit if there is one, and if you feel like you're lending out a book to a person who might not give it back, like, set a time limit. And it's kind of really not nice when the owner has to like beg for their book back, because that just means, you know, you kind of had it too long. I mean, I have been guilty of this, not begging for my book back. Well, yeah, I have, but like at the same time holding a book for too long. So I'm not like entirely guilt-free here, but that has happened, and I try as much as possible to return on time. But for sometimes it's just not possible for me, but the person understands. I forgot to add that I do have some agreements with friends where they're like, oh yeah, take as much as you want, as much time as you want reading this, and it's perfectly alright. Because a friend of mine and I, we share bookshelves, so when we start series, we sort of swap books with one another. So she's had a couple of books of mine for a few years, and I've had a couple of books of hers for a few years, and it's okay because we have that agreement with one another. So if you have that agreement with one another, I think that's perfectly alright, because like you guys have an understanding, you know? Okay. And then another thing that I have about, like, another issue that I have about lending out books and borrowing books is that, well, I mean, I have this experience where I borrowed a book, but then I thought another friend would like to read it, so I asked the owner if it would be okay to lend it to my friend, and she was like, yeah, because it's a mutual friend, so she said yes. And like, that was all agreed, and that was nice. But at the same time, there are some people who just lend out books as if it's theirs, but it's not. It's a borrowed book, so when the owner gets it back, it's like really tattered, and that's not fair to do to the owner, because like, it's not your book to lend out. You should always ask. And yeah, I don't really think it's good to lend out books that you're borrowing, because it's not yours to lend out. That's really just it. And then another thing, another issue is like about respecting that person's book, because, you know, as I've said before, they've bought the book with their own money, and they take care of it. For example, like, some people have this thing about cracking the spine, and it's really rude if this person went through a lot of pains to not crack the spine, and then you crack the spine. It's just so rude to do that, and like writing on it, dog-earing pages, accidentally tearing it. You know, you should take care of that person's property. Like, if you respect your friend, you should respect their property, because it's, you know, it's important to them. It's their things. So, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like it if you let out one of your favorite shirts and it comes back tattered with holes and like a huge stain you can never get out. Like, I would be really upset if a friend gave me back like a book and it was really tattered. So yeah, I do have a friend in my book buying circle that when I do lend him books, it comes back in a plastic cover like this. This is a paperback version of Necromancing the Stone, and it has no cover because I didn't get to lend him the second book. But the first one, which he did like, it came back like this, nice and covered, protected. So that's like the kind of person you want to lend your books to, someone who's like gonna protect your books. But I know that's like not something that everyone gets, but it would be nice if everyone could be as nice as this, you know. And then another thing is like not losing the books. In my whole experience of borrowing books, I have only ever lost a book once. I am not perfect, so once. My friend was very nice not to get really mad at me for it, and I couldn't find the same book to replace it, so I bought her another book as an I'm sorry. And she was kind enough to accept it and everything, but that sort of just made me realize that I should be very, very careful with the books that I'm borrowing, because it's somebody else's things, and I would feel really bad if that happened to me. So, which it already has, like twice. 2 books are gone forever. So yeah, that's it. What are your book borrowing and book lending experiences? Any horror stories? yeah, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching. I hope this was an okay video, I guess. So, bye guys!